started training in the basketball world back in 1999, and my vision was to be the best trainer in the game.
Explain, because that's something that we're constantly in the media discussing. What does Kyrie mean, or is he being cryptic? What kind of leader is he? And I'd love for someone who knows him as well as you do to really speak on is how he is misunderstood. How is that?
I think both of those guys are teasers, if I can use that phrase. Like Cole was a dude that would throw stuff out, just say stuff, just to see how people react. Kyrie's the same way. He'll say stuff just because he knows he's going to get a reaction out of people. He will do that. And for people that don't know him, it's just like, oh my God, what did he just say? So, Kyrie will say something crazy to me. I'll be like, Kyrie, man, get out of here. Whatever. I know you're just trying to get a rise out of me. I think that Kai was, a young kid who came into the organization after LeBron left. And so Cleveland was, he was the number one pick. There was a lot of pressure on this young kid that came out of Duke after playing 10 games of college basketball to lead this organization, right? That's a lot of pressure for a young athlete who's still trying to figure out who he is. And so in that, I think there was just a lot of stuff that was thrown on this kid, a lot of stuff that was put on his shoulders that, he probably wasn't ready for. And I think he would tell you that himself. And so a lot of these stuff, in the organization was just about building a relationship. Talk to the kid, right? Get to know him. Get to know who Kyrie is. Because, again, if you were somebody that Kyrie didn't know, he wasn't really going to open up to you. He wasn't going to share with you. He would be very standoffish. And I think Kobe was the same way. If you didn't really know Kobe, you didn't really understand it, he's not going to speak to you. So when I got to Cleveland, Kobe was a big fan of Kyrie's game, and Kyrie was a big fan of Kobe. And I got there and I just asked Kobe, I said, look, man, would you mind mentoring this kid? He really looks up to you. He respects you. And I think it would help him a lot. And Kobe right away said, man, absolutely. Give him my number. Tell him to call me. And I told Kai, I said, man, build a relationship with him. Kobe was open. And Kyrie reached out to him and that relationship was fostered. But I think there's so many similarities between them. And I think, again, Kai really wanted to draw from the whole mama mentality. He wanted to understand what that was about and how he can dive into it and, how can you separate yourself? So, they had a lot of conversations along those lines. And it was just really good to see that Kyrie took a lot of things from Kobe in a sense of how he started to take seriously about working on his body, take seriously about working on his game and trying to craft and become a better player. And it really took him to another area. And then when Bron came to Cleveland, he had another alpha male to look up to and another gentleman that could help him understand what it means to get to that next level. And Bron was like a big brother to Kai, and that was also a big help. So I think it was just one of those things where Kobe and Kyrie, man, they just kind of matched. They fit together right from the beginning.
Yeah. Let's go back to your relationship with LeBron and the work you're doing with him. Not only you already knew him and was working with him with the Cavs. Now you're reunited with the Lakers. You touched on a little bit like, a player of that level, LeBron's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time to ever play this game. So when you're working with somebody of that level, you mentioned the listening goes both ways. So you said LeBron wanted to do some ball handling, footwork. Can you point out the nuances of the game that he wants to work on at this point of his career with the Lakers and the types of drills you work on with LeBron right now?
Man, it's actually the same, Roz. I think it's just been an evolution, right? When I first got with Bron, sometimes I think my methods are a little different. The way I teach things are a little different. So it took a little bit of time for us to get comfortable together. But you look at Bron now, and he's the same. he wants to work on the same things. He wants to get better at every facet of the game, from his ball handling to his finishing, to his post-ups, to his pick and rolls, to his mid-range, to his threes, right? He wants to touch on every piece of the game because he plays that way. And what has really had me taken back is his humility. As a player of that stature, he's one of the most coachable guys I've ever been around. And when I'm talking about coachable, he still looks you in the eye as a coach. He still responds to coaching, and he wants it. So even now, Roz, the things that we do now are to really help him continue to improve at this point in his career. And he works just the same, if not harder. You know, he's very efficient in his work. He, again, doesn't like to waste time. You know, he's not one of those guys that's going to be on the court for 2 hours trying to kill himself. He wants to be efficient in his work so where he can play efficiently as well. So, I mean, we spend a lot of time on his ball handling. We spend a lot of time on his footwork. And
what are drills? What does that look like?
Man, Roz, it'd be easier for me to show you than to tell you. But you are a hooper. I mean, look, Roz, I think a lot of stuff for him is about rhythm. You know, we do a lot of rhythm dribbles. We do a lot of combinations to put him in different scenarios where he's comfortable handling the ball on the perimeter. We do a lot of drills with his footwork where he's comfortable in the mid-post and he's comfortable on the perimeter as well. And so I think I've always just tried to do things with him that apply to his game, but also help him in the areas that he wants to continue to improve on.
You know, you're coming to us right now live from Orlando in the bubble. You're in your hotel room right now. You talk about mindset, and it's been fascinating to see what's coming out of the arrivals in Orlando. And a lot of it is players kind of cracking on the conditions and the hotels. You know, we saw Rondo said Motel 6. You know, we saw JR was on the live reading the menu. It was a number of players. What is your thoughts on, and also another thing about mindset too, is being able to quickly get in the mindset of this is playoffs. Like there's a chance for the team who is more mentally strong, they might surprise teams who might on paper have been the better team. You know, what do you think are the pitfalls of mindset in this type of environment?
Everybody needs to be locked in. There's not a lot of time to waste, so it's not like 82 games, 8 games, and you're into the playoffs. So I think for some teams it means more than others. But my mindset is, for me personally, I'm going to attack everything as if the playoffs start tomorrow. I want to have a mindset of just being locked in myself. And I think that's crucial. If people are really not understanding how fast the scrimmage is and these 8 games will go, and then you're going into a 7-game playoff series, you might get caught with your pants down. So it's really important to understand that time, time, you can't waste too much time. Your practices have to be good and sharp. Look, they're not going to be perfect, but again, just mentally be locked into what you're preparing for. And I think the guys that have been in the playoffs, they understand it. Guys that understand what they're trying to compete for, I think they understand it. There will definitely be one of those things where you have to understand here, you're going to really find out who loves basketball. Being in this bubble, you're going to find out who really loves the game and, who's strong enough mentally to say, look, we're here. We got to deal with all these things. It's just basketball now. It's all about just locking into the game and being prepared to play.
You're there right now. How are the setups? What's your reaction to being in the bubble and just getting there?
For me, Roz, this is easy for me. It reminds me of playing in Europe. And so, when you go to Europe and play, you leave your family most of the time. You're not around your friends. You're in a country by yourself. Most of the time, people don't speak your language. So you're in a situation where you have to adapt and figure out how to live in the environment you're in. So I look at the bubble as the same. We're it could be a whole lot worse. We're in Disney World. We're staying in a hotel. They're providing us with food. I'm just me. I'm a pretty basic individual. So for me, I'm like, yo, let's get it. This is, again, why are we here? That's the mindset for me. Why are we here? We're not here to mess around at Disney World. We're here to resume the NBA season and to compete for a championship.
Getting back to understanding how to